Hello, and thank you for joining us in today's conversation on a three-part video series where we're going to be talking about the Founder Story Playbook. So if you follow all the different tips that I'm going to be sharing with you in this three-part video, you will be able to move from invisible to unforgettable in your industry. In this first part of the video, I'm going to be helping you to understand that every founder actually has a story, irrespective of what you are doing, where you started, what you have gone through. In fact, that is the story in itself. So I remember a couple of years ago, I was doing a documentary about the blackness of Africa. I see a lot of people of African descent, referring to themselves as black. So I decided to do a documentary on it a couple of years ago, which of course actually won an award with it at the Verona International Film Festival. So at the time, I remember I was interviewing a Cameroonian professor who came to Verona at the time, and I was asking him to respond to the question that Africans have no story, because this is the accusation that many Europeans have against Africans, that we don't have a story. Without them, we don't have a story. Of course, when they talk about this, they are looking at the encounter that we have with them, that slavery is our story, that is where our story started, that colonialism is our story, because they documented these experiences and they give it to us as our experience. Therefore, that is where our story started, which of course is far away from the truth. And of course, they know that too. But anyway, I was asking this professor to respond to the question, and they were telling me that even a store that been beaten for several years as a story, because that is an evidence of an event that be taking place. That event, if narrated, that is a story. So as a founder, as a person who is a business, you have a people that you are serving, irrespective of how small or big you are, you have a story. That's what we're going to be talking about in this first part of the video. Yeah, of course, I've had some people who say something to the effect that I don't have a dramatic, because when people talk about story, they want to imagine that maybe something dramatic would have happened to them, like the one that they usually will hear on TED Talk and the rest of that. So therefore, I don't have a story that I can share, because I haven't have any serious or any big thing story that have happened to me. Therefore, I don't have a story. But usually, that is not the situation. In the course of this video, we're going to be able to look at some of those challenges and demystify it for you, because it is important that you understand that you need to identify your story. You see, we already talk about the fact that everyone have a story. Everyone, irrespective of who you are, you have a story. But the problem with some founder, the problem with some business owner, is that they haven't been able to identify their story. And this is what we are going to be talking about here. But before then, I want to let you understand that without a story, you become simply a commodity. A commodity would mean that, when you go to the shop now to buy something, maybe whether you are looking at an apple that you want to eat, then you see two apples that are sold by two different people, then you take up one, maybe this one is sold for $1, the other one is sold for $2. It's just an apple. So you want to buy from the one that is selling it for $1, because now you want to say, well, that price is cheaper for you. That is a commodity. Another way to look at that is maybe, for example, you pick up a t-shirt, just a regular white t-shirt that you see on the market. Maybe it costs $5 or €5, whatever is your currency that you are using. But if you pay attention, that same white t-shirt can actually be sold for $50 or even $150 or even much more than that, if there is a story behind it. It's the same t-shirt. The function of the t-shirt, whether it is just plain white t-shirt or black t-shirt, wherever you find it, it's the same function of the other one that you are going to pay like $50 or $150, or the case may be. The difference is that there is a story behind one, as against an ordinary t-shirt that you find somewhere that you are paying $5 or $10 for. So if you have a story behind the product, behind the service that you are rendering to your customer, you are able to charge a premium service for it. You are charging a premium service for it, not because of the product itself, which is what we're actually kicking against now. That if you don't have a story, you are having a commodity. And when you have a commodity, the problem that you have sometimes is that you are in a race to the bottom. Is that if your competitor is selling for $5, you want to sell for a 4.5 because you want people to come and buy from you because you don't have anything that actually differentiate your product between the both of you. What A is selling different from what B is selling. Well, if you have a story, nothing can compete with you because nobody can have the same experience that you have, the same motivation that you have, which is why you are in the market, rendering a service to your audience, to the people that you are serving, your client. This is the reason why we are serious about the idea that every founder should identify their story. Again, I'm coming to the point that there is no founder that don't have any story. The point is that some don't know how to leverage their story, don't know how to identify that story and craft it and then use it in their business. And sometimes some of the challenges that people also have is that now you people hear that you talk about story, they are looking at some other persons or some other places or some other narrative that they have heard, and they're trying to make comparison, looking at their life, looking at their experiences. And instead of looking at the ordinary about them, they are looking at maybe something extraordinary that might have happened today. Therefore, they are saying that, well, I don't have a story. I don't have an experience because what they are looking for, they are looking for a shiny object. They are looking for something that is extra. They're looking for a diamond. Whereas you need to look at something simple, something as experiences that you have had relating to the services that you are rendering. So those are very important for you to pay attention to in terms of finding your own story. Now, talking of finding your own story, I want you to understand that your story is actually in their layers. They are layered in different ways because there are experiences that you have had. There are different challenges that you have had in your life, in your line of business, the pressure, the immense stress of your first year. You see, when you just start your business, there are a lot of challenges, there are a lot of difficulty that you have. That is part of your story. Think about what I was saying before, comparing the fact that Africans were accused of not having a story. So this Cameroonian professor was telling me that even if it were a piece of wood, a piece of rock that had been beaten by rain for several years, that is a story. I'm telling you that event that is taking place in your life, in the line of your business, that is your story because yours is unique because you are treating a situation that is different from many other people. Therefore, it's up to you to take that story and narrate it in a way that it can resonate to other people. And of course, we're going to be looking at how to deal with that much later on in the conversation. So look at both sides, the record of your prototype. When you are starting, you will make mistakes. You will make a lot of mistakes. Every one of us do. It is normal that you make mistakes because you are not born perfect. You try to stand, you fall. Now remember, if you have a child growing up in your place, or I think you should, you will see that a child is trying to rise. As he or she tries to rise, in fall. He rises again in fall. He rises again in fall. That is a normal process of growing up. So you cannot pretend that you are just starting, everything will be okay. No, everything will not be okay. You will make a lot of mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes. All the mistakes in the world, I've made it. All the mistakes that are possible to be made, I make it. But I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there kicking because I believe so much in what I'm doing. All the error that I've made, all the mistakes that I've made, they are now part of my story. Why it is part of my story, why it is a valid part of my process is that by the time I am talking to other persons, I will share my inability to be able to talk, to be able to communicate my story to the people so that this person will understand that now that I can talk to you, but there was a time I couldn't even do that. Which means even you that can't do it now have something to believe in because if I can manage to overcome my own setback, my own failure, then you too can do it. This is actually one of the most important part of using your story, your experiences as a way of teaching people so that they understand that you don't start just shining. You start first not even knowing what to do, like that little baby that is trying to stand for the first time and is falling, is rising, is falling, is rising, is falling, but it continues. All that is part of your story. By the time you craft those story, you help people to understand, you help your audience, your client to understand this, they too can have confidence in themselves that they too can do it. This is actually the most important part of faith. Where do you find your story? Where do you find your story? So you can find your story everywhere. I want to repeat again that there is none of us that don't have a story. You have a story. There is a reason you are doing what you are doing. So you don't need to be looking for your story in the Hollywood or looking for it in Netflix, because you are not in Netflix. You are a human being. You are a man or a woman, a father or a mother. You have your challenges. You have some time you couldn't pay for your rent. There was a time you couldn't have a job, but yet you still believe in what you are doing. You see a problem that you want to find a solution to. Why do you believe in it? Why, despite every other thing you could do, you say, this is what I want to do. That is your story. There's a reason you are doing that. Your story is in the decision to pivot. That maybe you were moving to a particular direction at a point, you say, no, this is not the right path. You see, you would have gathered a lot of data that help you to understand that that is not the right path for you. So that is your story, that you decide to take a decision. Instead of moving to point A, you move to point B, and now you have succeeded. You are now happy. You are now telling your story. You are not letting people know how you make those decisions. Those are your story. The client who said no to you in the beginning of your business, maybe, of course, when you are starting now, you start to approach people, even though you might know what you are saying, but if you don't know how to say it, the people will not believe you, because the people don't have anything against you. I want to repeat that again. Your client, your prospect have nothing personal against you. It's just that you have not been able to communicate your value yet. I want you to understand that. Don't take it personal. You want people to exchange their dollar or their euro in exchange for what you are giving them, which is the value. But you haven't been able to communicate that value to them. Therefore, they are not going to exchange their hard-earned currency for your value. It is not that they hate you, it's because you haven't grown enough to be able to help them see the value. But it's not the end of the world. You will keep on repeating that until you now mature, you now understand how to communicate that information. Now, the story in it is that by the time you know how to do it, you need to reflect back to when you didn't know how to do it. Because you are going to be meeting people at that level who yet do not know how to do it. By the time you tell them how you overcame your inability to do it, and now you can do it, that is a valid point. Because now the people can know that they too can know how to do it, because somebody like them knew how to do it from not knowing how to do it. Every one of us have a story, even though the stories are layered in different stages. Whether you are talking of why you started your business, whether you are talking of the motivation, that something that led you to start your business. I have talked to a lot of people. I've done more than 1,000 interviews here. I've interviewed some people who told me that they started their business because something happened to them. Sometimes they started their business because they believe something deep in them, whether it is true vision, true dream, or something that physically happened to them, or something that they were set but they couldn't find. For this reason, they believe that they are the one that is going to provide that service. That is why they are doing that. So that is their story. That is not your story. That might not be your story. Your story might be different. Your story might be because you want to find a solution, because somebody told you that you can do that. Maybe that is why you are doing it. And you actually went to the field and you start trying, and you see that you can really do it. That might be your story. There are different ways that your story can actually be framed. So now you understand that the layer exists. We need a tool to extract that. So in the next session, I will give you the story compass. It's a 3-part framework to structure your narrative. If you like this video, if you like the information that I share with you here, I encourage you to click on the like button and share this video with whoever is going to have value from it. We believe that every entrepreneur, every founder, and every service-based business deserve to own their story. If you believe that you deserve to own yours, reach out to me. Let's have this conversation.